Everyone has an explanation for why their life is the way it is. Bad childhood, bad environment, bad parents, bad luck. And sometimes those things are real. But here's the truth most people never hear. Explanation is not transformation. Understanding your life doesn't change it. Talking about your problems doesn't change them. Action does. So the real question is this: are you explaining your life, or are you changing it? Most people think their life is controlled by motivation. It isn't. It's controlled by habits. Every single thing you repeat, you're teaching your brain who you are. If you skip responsibility long enough, then you become someone who avoids it. Drink every weekend, you become someone who escapes. Waste your time long enough, that becomes your identity. After a while, those habits stop feeling like choices. They start feeling like personality. And people start saying things like, that's just who I am. But that's not who you are. That's just who your habits trained you to be. 5 years is going to pass no matter what you do. Think about it. 5 years from now, you could still be broke, angry, blaming everyone. Or you could be disciplined, focused, living a completely different life. Time doesn't slow down for people who feel stuck. It keeps moving. The real question isn't if 5 years will pass. The question is, what will those 5 years build? Most people aren't stuck. They're avoiding something. A conversation they don't want to have. A decision they keep pushing off. A truth they're afraid to face. Avoidance feels safe in the moment, but avoidance is expensive. Because while you're avoiding the problem, time keeps moving. And the longer you wait, the bigger the consequence becomes. Look at the people you spend the most time around. That's your future. If everyone around you drinks every weekend, your path is already predictable. If the conversations around you are about excuses, blaming people, and complaining, that becomes normal. Your environment shapes identity. The people closest to you will either push you forward, or they will quietly keep you stuck. So ask yourself honestly, are the people around you building you or burying you? Addiction usually isn't about the substance. It's about what the substance is doing for you. For some people, it's escape. For some people, it's silence. For some people, it's control. But here's the problem. The pain doesn't disappear. It just waits. And every time someone escapes instead of facing the real problem, they train themselves to run from their life. Real change starts when you face what's underneath it. Most people think anger is the real problem. It's not. Anger is usually the cover. Under anger, there's often hurt, frustration, fear, or even feeling disrespected. But anger is louder, so it shows up first. And if someone never learns what's underneath their anger, they keep destroying relationships without ever fixing the real issue. Real change starts with honesty. The biggest enemy of change is comfort. People say they want a better life, but they keep the same habits, the same routines, the same excuses. Comfort feels safe, but comfort quietly keeps people stuck for years. Growth almost always starts with discomfort. Your life isn't built in big moments. It's built in small, daily decisions. What you do today, what you repeat tomorrow, what habits you keep next week. People think they need to change everything overnight. They don't. They just need to win tomorrow, then win the next day, and then the next day. That's how identity shifts. Here's something most people don't realize. You're already guilty. Guilty of something. Guilty of habits. Guilty of patterns. Guilty of decisions. But if you're going to be guilty anyway, be guilty of change. Be guilty of growth. Be guilty of greatness. Here's a hard truth most people avoid. Nobody is coming to save you. Not the system, not your friends, not your circumstances. At some point in life, you have to realize something. If your life is going to change, you're the only one who has to change it. Ownership is where power begins. One of the biggest lies people tell themselves is, I'll start later. I'll start next week. I'll start when life calms down. I'll start when I feel ready. But people who change their lives don't wait for the perfect moment. They make a decision, and then they start, even when it's uncomfortable. Let me tell you something the streets won't tell you. The streets don't love you. They use you. They cheer when you're making money, but they disappear when you're sitting in a cell. Friends vanish. Phones stop ringing. Life moves on without you. The streets promise respect, but too often they deliver prison. People romanticize prison like it's some kind of badge of honor. It's not. Prison is birthdays missed, family events you never see, watching life move forward without you, and realizing you traded years of freedom for decisions that lasted minutes. There's nothing cool about losing years of your life, especially to the system. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they stay comfortable. Same routines, same excuses, same habits. Comfort feels safe, but comfort slowly traps people for years. Growth almost always begins with discomfort. A lot of people chase respect in the wrong places. They want respect from people who don't even respect themselves. Real respect doesn't come from fear. It comes from discipline, responsibility, consistency. Respect isn't demanded, it's built. One thing prison teaches you very quickly: time is expensive. When the door shuts behind you, you realize something. You can't buy time back. You can't rewind your decisions. And suddenly, the choices that seem small cost years. Don't wait until time is taken from you to realize how valuable it is. If everyone around you is stuck, there's a good chance that you will be too. People don't like hearing that, but environment matters. The conversations you listen to, the habits around you, the people you follow, they shape your future. Sometimes the biggest change you need to make is who you spend time around. Excuses sound smart. They feel logical. They explain everything. But excuses don't improve your life. They just make you comfortable staying the same. People who change their lives stop explaining their situation and start changing their behavior. There's a huge difference. Some people live their entire life angry at the world, angry at their past, angry at people who hurt them. But anger becomes a trap, because while you're holding on to anger, life keeps moving, and the only person losing time is you. Real change begins when you stop letting anger control your direction. A lot of people want a better life, but they don't want to become a different person. That's the problem. If you want a different future, you have to build a different identity, different routines, different discipline, different priorities. Your life right now is the result of patterns. Patterns of thinking, patterns of behavior, patterns of decisions. If nothing changes, those same patterns will create the same future. Real change begins when you break the pattern. A lot of people blame the system for everything. And yes, the system has problems, but blaming the system doesn't build your future. Responsibility does. You can spend your life explaining what's unfair, or you can start building something better. Only one of those paths changes your life, though. Fear stops more people than failure ever will. Fear of looking stupid, fear of failing, fear of judgment. So people stay exactly where they are, safe, comfortable, and stuck. But growth almost always begins on the other side of fear. Always. People think changing their life requires some huge moment. It doesn't. It starts with one decision, one honest action, and then another, then another. That's how real change happens, decision by decision. Self-control is one of the most valuable skills in life, but it's also one of the rarest. People want success, but they can't control their habits, their emotions, their reactions. Self-control isn't flashy, but it quietly builds everything people say they want. Responsibility feels heavy. That's why most people avoid it. It's easier to blame other people, blame your past, blame circumstances. But responsibility also gives you something powerful: control. Because when you own your decisions, you can change them. Every better life has a price. People want success. They want peace. They want growth. But they don't want to sacrifice anything. Bad habits, bad friends, comfort, excuses. You cannot carry your old life into your new one. Change isn't a feeling. It's behavior. You can talk about your life all day. You can explain your trauma. You can say you want better. But if your behavior doesn't change, nothing else will. Real change shows up in actions, not words. Most people wait for life to force them to change. Prison, loss, rock bottom. But the smartest people change before life forces them to. Before the consequences show up, before the years disappear. The real question is simple. Will you change early, or will life make the decision for you?